We're getting closer and closer to the social media scheduler done. At the end of the day, I am seeing so much progress as the weeks go through, even though I'm busy with so many other things. It's really awesome to see that a project that I've been working on and off, with people on Meetup, with people on Twitch, just people in Discords in general, is finally coming to fruition. It just feels great. Last time we spoke about the social media scheduler project, it was about being able to post images through the scheduler app. I was going through the run-through list of getting out specific things done holistically, where I would test posts for text only. So for things like Twitter, things like Threads, LinkedIn as well, where I can just make just a text post. I had did that first, and that had went through well. And then I had did images, and that came with a bunch of random caveats that I didn't even come across even when I was testing on desktop a couple of years ago. So running through those issues were a little bit difficult and kind of set me up for doing video, which I was actually happy about doing images first. With images, it was about two things that I had encountered. The first being that for Threads and for Instagram, I needed to find a way to send the content to the social media platform, as they won't allow you to send it directly from your device. You have to send it through a public URL, which obviously causes a bunch of hurdles. On desktop, I had taken care of that before by using an HTTP server along with the Grok to kind of get around that. But on a phone device, I figured that's not going to work, or I didn't have the time to kind of figure out if Nagrok would be the right thing, and then I figured then they would have to sign into a service, and that would just not be good in totality for this if I was trying to make it fully open source. I found a temporary solution where you're able to upload your content to this website where they'll delete your content after an hour. I don't like it. It's not something that I would naturally prefer, but just due to the restraints of making it fully open source, I figured someone can then modify this to make it under their own server or something so that they can have it a little bit more secure. But that's something that they would have to decide. I figured that wasn't going to be the main objective of the application. And the other issue was resizing. If you remember, I had to then figure out how to be able to resize the image to the specifications that Instagram, Threads, and Twitter wanted, as all three of them had a specific issue when it came down to resolutions. And so I had to basically format that in the correct format, which in itself came with another caveat of not being able to actually directly access the content from the application. I have to therefore copy it over to a folder that I can temporarily use for that scheduled content to be able to be posted. Now we're on to video. And when I first started to think about doing video, I was excited but nervous. I had did video a couple years ago, but it was kind of minor and for only specific platforms. I didn't really do it for all the platforms that I care about, mainly YouTube. YouTube is going to be mainly the only one that's going to be using video posting, because images are for those other platforms like Threads, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter or X or whatever. So with this, I decided I was going to start and do YouTube first. I had never really worked with the YouTube API. Going through their references was kind of weird, but once I kind of figured out my way of understanding their API, I was able to understand at least the right places to go to figure out like what type of calls were necessary. I was able to read through this. It wasn't my favorite documentation. Like, I don't know why, I just don't like the way this looks in particular, for a reference API in particular, but it's fine. One of the reasons I don't like these type of examples is that they're using libraries. Anytime you use a library to do something, I'm usually not a fan of it in particular. It obfuscates out a lot of what needs to be done. Now, of course, if the library is good, you can go down and read the classes and attributes and things like that to really know like kind of what's going on. And I actually do like those things sometimes. But then I just don't like relying on a library for something I may be doing very small, right? Like if I'm just uploading something, I don't want your whole library just for doing a simple upload, right? So for me, that's something I usually try to keep in mind when I see examples like this. If you're figuring that you're going to do something a lot, it makes sense. but I just don't like adding in extra libraries for a simple API call. I was able to learn from this and kind of get what was necessary. If we go into the YouTube TS here, we'll see the upload to YouTube, right? Like I'm not using a library, it's just TypeScript. And essentially I'm taking the access token, the video path, the title, the description, things like that, and the privacy status. And then I'm sending that all into a request. One cool thing that I do like about the YouTube API is that you can just read directly from your device. So we have here the React Native file system. I could be able to read a file from there and then put that into the request to basically upload this, which is pretty cool, right? So this one actually worked like flawlessly. I didn't even come across an issue at all. It was awesome to be able to do this, because doing this I actually was more nervous about than the others because I had never even messed with this API. Coming across this and it just working just off the bat was awesome. However, when I went across X or Twitter or whatever you're gonna call it, I had stumbled across a pretty big issue. An issue of which I'm not necessarily even sure would be in a real scenario, but something I had to kind of take into consideration at least. We go into this and I go to where the camera app is, right? I can make a video. It saves in the phone, right? And I decided, all right, I was gonna import it, right? And so the first video that you see here is this video that I had basically made off of this phone. It's just basically a screenshot, or it's basically just a reverse screen of what you see here. And when I tried to upload to X, it gave me an issue regarding the audio codecs. It was specifically about the audio. You see, when I was using the phone emulator to make that video, it used an audio codec of 3GP. I haven't seen or heard of 3GP since like 2006 when I was doing like flips off of stuff, you know, like I wasn't necessarily sure what I was going to do here, because if I was going to run across this issue through the API, then am I going to convert the video? But like then I'm like starting to get into a whole different scenario of things. Converting an image's resolution, that's one thing, right? Like that already was annoying and kind of a setback for a couple days. But converting video, I think that's a little bit outside of the scope of this project, right? Like I'm not going to sit here and be a full-out video editor and start being able to change a bunch of things. And so because of that, I know that my limit stops at not doing video editing or changing of a video, which means that I still need to detect whether or not the video is supported. And if the video isn't supported, I should probably make something that says that this isn't supported. So right now, if I click on this one in particular, it should say unsupported audio codec, because I had to go in and make it so that it can read out what the actual audio codecs is. The detection for audio codecs was actually pretty annoying. Finding a library to do this was not easy. The first thing I thought of was FFmpeg, and I thought, oh, well, there's probably a React Native version of FFmpeg. However, when I went to the actual official repo for the React Native FFmpeg version, it says that the repository was archived, so no, it's no longer being supported. Oh, great. Well, at least there is FFmpeg Kit, this other one that I don't know of, but whatever. At least they can be able to take care of what I need. And what do you know? This one's been archived this year. It's super annoying because like now the first thing that I thought I can't use, and this kind of led me down the rabbit hole of understanding like the React Native bridge. One of the cool things I like about React Native, but I never really took advantage of, is the fact that you can actually directly natively talk with the device's actual APIs, right? So like for me, like using Android right now, I could be able to then use right like Java or Kotlin in order to be able to directly interface with the actual Android APIs. And that is awesome, because that's what I'm going to need in order to be able to get this done, since I can't be able to rely on a library, because every single time there's something going on with a library. We have our main application.kt file, which has the main application class, and inside of that class I basically just added this one little line for adding in my package, which was just my little class in particular that I added. I had to import in a couple different things from Android, specifically the media extractor and media format, and I basically used that to get the audio codecs, and that's what this function is essentially here. If we go to the media extractor, it basically reads out your media essentially. It facilitates extraction of demux and typically encoded media data from a source. It could do video, audio, a bunch of different things, right? And so I use that along with the media format.keymime to basically find out the exact audio codec string. And now it helps me to move on from this scenario, right? So now this is solved. If you don't have the right thing, you can't be able to use it on those platforms. And call it a day. I then tested whether or not if I just convert the content to the right type of audio codec, will it work? And it worked with flying colors, no issues there, no resolutional problems, no problems at all. So that was good. I tried the other ones like Instagram and Threads, and it came across the same issue. So essentially I just added those to the list of ones that you can't be able to post with. As you can see from just looking through Twitter, we now do have a case here where it says if image or video, and we basically go through getting the actual string path and then being able to use that for being able to post to Twitter. It's the essential same thing with all these other ones. The only difference is Threads and Instagram having to have a requirement to push the content to a public URL. And when I got that done, that completed all the testing needed for doing text, image, and posting to the main platforms that I wanted. That's all I wanted to say for this video. If you liked the video, please leave a thumbs up and please subscribe. If you have any comments, concerns, or questions, please leave them in the comments below, as I love to interact with everyone. And other than that, I hope the rest of your day goes well. Peace, everyone.